Welcome, greetings, and salutations. In today's video, I'm going to do another sketchbook tour of my kind of old sketchbooks. Now, these, I think these four are my school sketchbooks. So they mostly have like studies and like things of shadow and shape and perspective. They have a lot of perspective in, but I do still count them as sketchbooks because, well, they had sketches in it and pretty rough sketches sometimes. So I'm still counting them as my sketchbooks. And I'm gonna start with this one because they are chronologically like organized, or at least with years. This was, I think, like 2 years ago, so pretty recent, but a lot of time has passed and my style has changed a lot. And this was, I remember I was very, very proud of this tree, especially the dark shadow under here, because I was afraid to do dark shadows, and this was the first dark shadow I felt confident in. And I remember my teacher saying like the shadow should follow the tree. For example, if a tree is going like this, the shadow should also go like that. And yeah, but I do like it still, and I do say I liked drawing trees. This, I hated doing this one because those little like lines and stuff was just done like pretty fast, and that kind of caused it to look half done, or not even like, it looked pretty bad, and it still does. This was a photo drawn from a photo, and I do remember spending a lot of time like in the foreground and putting detail in the rocks and stuff, and then just taking about 5 minutes to do the background because I hated doing backgrounds back then. And there is 2 pages stuck together, and this is just a chair with a 1-point perspective, headphones with no perspective, a little bit of perspective, but yeah. I remember I still have these. They're a bit more cracked and stuff, but I still have these. This was when I realized that I loved drawing fabric. I just love the way fabric like bends and the shadows and everything. This was just shadows and practicing that. And this is where I had to start drawing a bit more with pen now and then. So it was a river, and I'm pretty happy still with it. I like where the shadow and the light are coming from, and I do like these little light bits. It makes it look more realistic than what it really is. But I'm still proud of this, even if it's like 2 years old. 2 blank pages. I think I did it because it smudged a little bit from, this page, because this was done with a pen that bleeds very easily, but it is still fun pen because its point can like bend and stuff. And an unnecessary amount of detail in wood. You can see like every line and stuff. I do like it still. It doesn't look too bad. The perspective is a bit out of the rocks, but yeah. The photo that I used was like a gorgeous photo with a lot of detail in the foreground and stuff. I do like this flower, I will say. I don't like that one. That one looks strange. But the clouds, I remember I was using charcoal for this, and I just took a piece of charcoal, I think it was like this big, and just like twisted it, but it was flat like this on the paper, and I just like moved it around. I do like the effect that made, and I was very happy by doing it. But yeah, landscapes with just charcoal is a bit rough. And here was this picture done with just pen. I had to redo it because that was one of the tasks. And I remember I hated the clouds because they just looked, well, like doing everything with the pen was harder, but I enjoyed drawing the flowers more in comparison with like these flowers and stuff. And this I loved doing this one. I spent so much time like doing those lines and making it look like a desert. I am still very happy with this. I'm very proud of it. I would probably do it much better now, but I am very happy with this. This was done with ink and then a light gray color of ink, I think, in a pen. But yeah. And this is, it's basically like a cloth laying down and then a cloth like hanging from something. These are very random things. This is good. I remember I traced like half of a eraser and just used an actual eraser for its reference. So that was cheating. Color. This was color theory and doing, I think, complementary colors. No, not, yeah, I think complementary colors. And it was interesting to use such colors and to try and make, or to try and see which one stands out and such. And this, I remember this book because every like thing, this was the start of the book and it was going on and stuff. But I remember this book was done with like color and paint and opposite colors and those combinations. And this one, I spent so much time doing this. The kite and like, this is basically done with opposite colors of that, except for the green. The green was a exception because, let's be honest, those colors don't have green in it. Or at least not a green like this. But I just love how this came. I love the background. It still looks good till today. And yeah. This was done with a piece of tape, some popsicle sticks, and a sponge I use for painting. It doesn't look too bad. It's pretty good, well detailed and textured, at least. This was done from a photo, and in real life the like phone doesn't do it very justice, but this has actual texture, and from a side you can see like every texture and everything. I love doing this. I spent a lot of time on this part and not a lot of time on that part. That's kind of why it looks not as good. And it is watercolor, but it gives a bit of color off on your hands if you like rub it, so I'm not gonna touch it too much. This was done again with like this. It's two opposites. This time it's just proper opposites. And yeah. This was the start of another book that was after this one. And it is about, I think it was about creating a character and more of the cartoonish style mostly. And this was just some like poses of stickman figures, just doing stuff. And then I had to add clothes and hair and stuff. And I remember, I think these two were done from not like reference or anything. And I think these three were in the book that I had to like draw. Then I had to do a process drawing of how you draw a face, kind of like a process drawing. I'd like this one. Looks good. Just more faces, this time just turning it around and to its side and stuff. Emotions with a character and then like characters, I guess. I like the old man. The old man looks good. And I think this was the start of another book, which was, the book was about like how to draw people, and those like, you can take the face and it will fit in 8 or 7 times in a person. And I will say before this, I've never really drawn a person with the correct proportions. So it was pretty hard in the beginning and it was fun to do this. But when it came to more realistic stuff, it was pretty hard. This, you'll notice, is done with a right hand. That is because it is my right hand. I'm not left. I do like draw with my right hand, but I took just photos of my hand and drew it. A little like cartoon characters, which are adorable, and then just drawing a body of a cartoon character and drawing it a bit more. I like the character though, it's a good character. More stickman figures doing activities. And just more proportional people. I think this one's face is a little bit wrong, or its body is a bit too thick. I don't know, but something, it looks off. And then it was the start of another book. This was kind of, I think, just done with charcoal and pencil and pen and stuff. So it's just a lot of lines, practicing how you hold the pencil and stuff. More practicing, like blending, and a tree. Long trees with different blending styles. One with, I think, a blender and the other not blending at all. This tree looks wonky. And trying to draw animals a bit realistically. A dragon. I like how the dragon looks. It looks pretty good. I remember like I was drawing this at school and just sitting at school and the kids saying like, oh, can you draw this and this and this? And I was like, I'm busy with schoolwork right now. I cannot do it. Just because I'm drawing doesn't mean I'm doing it for fun or because I want to. Although this was fun and I did want to do this. A little cat just lying down. More practicing. A extremely light drawing of a tree. Practicing. That's weird. Practicing. More practicing. This was to do with line thickness and how to hold a pencil and doing it different styles, I guess. Practicing the different styles of doing like grass, I guess. Shadows. I remember doing this one. I don't remember doing this one though. I remember doing this and being extremely proud of how it looked. A blank page. Practicing with a... Where's my pen? This is practicing with like one of these, which was fun. Although I didn't have one of these, I just had a normal pen that kind of looked like this. So I had to fake it. And it worked out, kind of. Practicing zebra, a dog, and a seal. She lion. Don't know. This, I remember I was doing this one and it just looked horrible. So I sticked over a page to cover it. I might be able to take it off, but you can see it's a bit strange, the perspective and stuff. This is a bit better. A hat, which doesn't look too bad. I think it's a top hat, or was supposed to be a top hat. Practicing. This is done with watercolor, so it has a bit of a softness to it. A practice with watercolor with like trees and the wind and stuff. Actual paint, doing a practice with not blending it, like just doing lines and then doing like, what would you call this? Paint strokes that go side to side. Was fun to do that, and then actually blending them together. a clown character, the little water coming out of the flower. This was done with or drawn from a photo, and I was extremely proud of this, and I loved how everything looked. I like the water and like everything, and the background. This guy is laying extremely angular to the side. A blank page. A lot of trees and a lot of scribbles. I do remember like these trees. You can see like this one has kind of like a kind of momentum. This was just done with doing this, which wasn't supposed to be the way I was supposed to do it, but I still did it because I am not going to go over all of those lines with the same like preciseness that I did over here. A blank page. A tree practice with watercolor and actual paint. And that is one book done. Practices, like natural things, I guess, and like rocks. And this little bird with animal prints. A blank page. Silhouettes and these drawings. A wave, which looks extremely wonky, and a leaf. And more silhouettes of... Oh, Those are books like falling out of a shelf and just normal books. A blank page. A little penguin with a bow tie. Tree. Whatever that. Oh, I thought that was a line that kind of like split it. No, that's a tree and the road going up it. These are all just like doing silhouettes and playing with negative space. Another blank page. Again, playing with negative space and just a black color. Perspective. I remember hating doing this because I had to do like a still life and drawing them from different angles, which was horrible and time consuming. Again, playing with negative space and perspective. This was just doing a configuration of 3 different objects in 3 different styles or ways. This as well. And then a very detailed landscape done from an actual photo I actually took. I remember doing that and thinking that the girl had a beard. It looks like that. The shadow's supposed to be like that, but the way I did it made it look like she had a beard. I don't like this though. But that, I remember everyone saying like, oh no, it looks normal, it looks good. And I just absolutely hated it. Perspective. A blank page. I think most of the pages on this side is blank. Then a bit more of perspective and thickening of lines to make it look near you or further away. Shadows. Just more drawings of perspective and perspective. This is 1 point. I think that was supposed to be a 2-point perspective. I just never did it properly. 2's perspective, a house and just a box. Another house and a chair and a table done with 2-point perspective. This is 1 point and then 1 point, I guess, from the side and then 2 point. Silhouettes of people, 2-point perspective. This was like the last task of the book, kind of, and this was the start of the other book. 2-point perspective and people. From here on out in this book, and I think a little bit of the other book, I absolutely hated it, and it took me almost like 2 months to finish the book, while it usually took me like maybe 2 weeks to finish one book. This took me a month to finish, like this book that has to do with like people. This was just a perspective drawing, and I had to draw like bones, a bit of organs, skin, and then like detail, and I absolutely hated it. It was not fun for me. I hate drawing people, specifically because of this. I had to redraw it so many times. I remember drawing like literally, I had to draw this like 17 times because you have to draw this once, twice. This time you have to draw this thing, this singular thing, 4 times. And then on this one, you need to take a bit away and do a bit more detail. And you need to draw it 2 more times. And this one you need to draw again here so that you can do it properly and look, want to make it look the same. So I hated doing this just because you have to do it a lot. And there are something on this back. This one's just from like the side and from the back. And yeah. Again, from I think the back or doing a turnaround. I just never finished it because, let's be honest, it was just too much work. Again, from the back, I had to redraw these stuff again. That looks extremely creepy. And I did never finish that. That looks good though. That's pretty good. And then it was the end of that book. Thank goodness. Even though I didn't draw of it a lot, I just hated doing it. My gecko's cage. Like craft paint, toilet paper. I think that was glue sticks or Pret, which is like a glue stick, a lamp, candles, and a few other objects. More objects. I think I had to take like a round shape and draw stuff inspired of that. I think that's what I was supposed to do here and here. Like that's just, you know, triangles. Perspective. A skull, which I'm still pretty proud of. Mushroom tree perspective and a lamp. This is good. It's very black and like very dark, but it's good. It's not too bad. Perspective. Shadows, and this was done of, this is actually a flashlight that I still have to this tool today. Leaves, I think this was done with a line of action and a tree. Perspective, and this is the last page. This was just done for like the test part of the book. This was the book, I think, where I was allowed to draw a bit more freely with stuff, like from pictures. These were from pictures. A shaved husky, a cat with a plushy toy. That is not an actual shark, it's just a plushie. And a flower. That is a lint from my gymnastics. It looks like a cityscape, but it's actually books. A lot of nature. I love drawing like cliff sides and waterfalls. It was very fun. It was always enjoyable for me to draw nature because it had less rules. More colors that I had to do. This was really fun to do. It's kind of the same like the other one that I showed, just again opposites. A few signs. This one. This drawing or like painting was my absolute favorite because this has an actual texture on it. If you like rub it, you can feel like it feels like the actual flower. Again, doing like vibrant colors and then very grayish colors. These two pages are my absolute favorite in, I think, all of these books, specifically because of how they came out. This wasn't like very good, but this one, and this one, absolutely still loved him till today. It's just literally painting, and I loved how it came out. This one is my favorite, specifically because of the colors that I chose and the kind of, I think, Mexican style building and stuff. It was extremely fun doing it though. More people, just with less detail. Faces, this one is horrible, and this one is, yeah. Look, I'm not good with people. Arms and legs, I'm okay with, just not faces. Hands even, I'm okay with hands. And the funny thing is, I can draw like the components of a face, just one specific thing I can draw very good, or at least good enough. But when it comes to drawing them together, it's not good. More people. Ooh. This was done with charcoal, all of these. Fabric. Like I said, I loved drawing fabric. It was very fun and usually looked kind of okay. Drawing fabric, but on people. At least this time, I didn't have to do faces, which was nice. More fabric. In school, this was just drawn for fun, the little face, but again, fabric, and a man with a suit. Silhouettes, and more silhouettes. Fabric. This one, I remember doing this and being very proud of how it looked, and it was done with my actual arm just being like that. Well, not twisted, but like that. And more charcoal with, I guess, landscapes. And more charcoal, just extremely muddy and you can't really see detail that well. A bit of perspective, and this looks good. It's not bad. And this was the start of a new book, which I continued in here because it had actual lines and stuff, and it was better paper because I was using because I was using this pen. Just a little bit of painting, practicing with like a thick brush and trying to do things with that brush. And that's the end of this book. So this is the like calligraphy and with letters and stuff. I love drawing this one. It was extremely fun. Just a rough drawing for this, basically. A few signs with different styles of writing. Something. More different styles of writing. And a reference for advertisements. The advertisement. A lot of writing. Another advertisement. I liked doing advertisements because they were always fun and I could be a bit more creative. Painting. This was again done with that thick brush that I told you of. It was just a lot of painting and just basically that. This was done with like, I was tasked to do a gradient and just more like writing down and answering questions. Thick brush again, but doing different techniques and twisting the brush around and trying that. This is very dark. I was tasked to do different layers and I was supposed to wait for the layers to dry. I never did. Just more practicing perspective or like learning to do a landscape. I don't know. Practicing. This looks cool. I remember doing this and thinking that it could be an interesting way to do a tree that's like blowing in the wind. Like this one. Practicing with a brush. More practicing with a thick brush. And again, there was a lot of practicing with like thick brushes and trying to use like the side of it doing like to do like this. And when I say thick, I mean like those kind of brushes. All of this was done with that. Even this tree. At least in this book, everything went quite quickly. Or at least I filled the page quite quickly because it was done with a thick brush and it only took like 10 strokes to do it. This was done also. This, the next few pages are again a few of my favorites, specifically because it was done by paint and again with a thick brush, but it was absolutely amazing and so fun to draw these trees, specifically because this one came out pretty good. A few more practices, a few more trees, but done, I guess, very quickly because they're not very detailed. This came out really good, like amazingly good. At least the tree part. The grass part ain't very good. And that is the end of that book. And it's a pretty thick one too. And those are 4 of my school sketchbooks. They aren't very like interesting to look through and they don't really have a lot of color or creativity in them because they were done from reference pictures or stuff that I was told to draw. But I did learn a lot from that and I kind of progressed a lot with these practices and these 4 books, and I learned a lot about my style and how to be a bit more chill when I'm drawing because I was very stiff in the beginning, and nowadays I can do a bit more things that is chill and a bit more loose and stuff. So thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember to take care of yourself, to rest, to drink some water, and to just have a wonderful day. And I will see you guys in the next video.